Alex here with a legal nuts and bolts video on facts versus lies. This is one of the things that confuses so many people, even attorneys, even judges. Not all of them. In fact, the ones that have a tremendous amount of experience have typically figured this out. But there are some that are, just brand new lawyers. There are even judges, brand new judges on the bench, and they just do not get this. And they misunderstand their role. And their role is to make findings of fact. And that is not necessarily to determine who's telling the truth and who's lying. That is a part of it. That is linked to it, but that isn't the end-all be-all. And this is going to sound like nonsense to a lot of people until I explain what I'm talking about. In a nutshell, there are people who think they are telling the truth. Whether they are completely mistaken, like if it's an eyewitness, like to a murder or something, or whether they have severe emotional immaturity issues where they have cooked up just this lie that they believe to be true because they are so desperate that it needs to be true. It's such a existential threat for them that the lie that they've brought up isn't actually true, that their brain just through cognitive dissonance makes it the truth somehow, and they're convinced that their lie no longer is a lie, that actually happened. And then you have people with mental health problems, people with personality disorders who have a warped perception of reality. They don't think they're lying, guys. They think they're telling the truth. So these judges and these attorneys who pride themselves in being able to tell who's lying, who pride themselves in pointing out, oh, that person actually told such a vivid account of what happened. That actually happened in part 8 of my docket series. And she wasn't even a judge. She was a domestic master, a hearing master. She sat on the bench and said, your ex provided a vivid accounting of what happened, as if she knew what she was doing. She's a judge. She should know better. Just because somebody tells a vivid tale doesn't mean it actually occurred. And my ex probably believed it. She probably believed her own lies. So that's what I'm trying to say. Making findings of fact has something to do with who's telling the truth and who's lying, but that's not the end-all be-all. There are some people who think they're telling the truth, and what they're saying never occurred. Factually, there's no basis in reality for it. So what is fact-finding? It's a whole lot more than just determining who is telling the truth and who isn't. It's about reviewing evidence. It's about one of the biggest things that you can do to expose a liar who doesn't even know they're lying is look at contradictions. There are people who mentally are unwell. They think they're telling the truth. They come off convincing, but they do certain things. They take certain actions that contradict what they're saying. They make certain statements that are convincing statements, but 2 or 3 of those statements, as convincing as they are contradictory. They take actions that are contradictory. For example, they'll say they're afraid of this person who tried to kill them, yet they have 3 or 4 different examples of poking and prodding at that person. It's like, hold on a second. If you're afraid that person's going to kill you, why are you teasing them? That is really the essence of fact-finding. That is really what a good judge does. That is what a good attorney understands. Is if you focus so much on trying to, expose that person in a lie, you sometimes end up getting nowhere because that person is so mentally unwell that they completely believe what they're saying. That's why some of these people, when they cry, it's like, oh my God, that's a fake cry. That's because that's a liar on the stand. They're a liar. They know that what they're saying isn't true. That's why they're crying. It doesn't sound convincing. It sounds like they just, poke themselves in the eye and they're trying to fake like they're, upset or afraid. And that's why other people who will claim that, the A, B, and C happened to them, these horrible acts, and they cry and they're just like, oh my God, they legitimately are terrorized. They're hurt. But it never happened. And there's all these contradictory things that happen. And people wonder, how are they so good at that? It's because they believe it. They believe what they're doing. They believe what they're saying. They believe. They've convinced themselves that the lie that they cooked up is actually what happened. So this actually came up to me when I was watching a video on YouTube of a guy who was on the stand. He was representing himself, and he was upset that the judge was going to make a determination based on, he said, she said. And he said, this isn't fair. You should do a lie. You should make us go and do a lie detector test. How can you possibly know who's telling the truth? And I was thinking to myself, Well, that's not going to work because you can't, use lie detectors in court. And then I was thinking to myself, I should do a video on it. And then I was thinking to myself, what's really the point? The point isn't so much to tell people about lie detectors and why you can't use them. The point is to explain one of the reasons why. And one of the reasons why people pass lie detectors, even though they're not telling the truth, is because they think they're telling the truth. Their body is not physiologically reacting to their statements in a way that indicates deception because they have no idea that they're trying to deceive you. They actually think this occurred. And that's one of the problems with lie detector tests, is it only detects somebody who's lying on purpose because their body's going to physiologically react to it. I'm not going to go into some of the details with like CIA training and all that stuff about how people can, train themselves to be lie detectors. And then there's sociopaths, and then there's psychopaths and stuff like that. You can watch all the other videos on lie detector tests and how these other people beat them. But what I'm trying to say is you can't use a lie detector test, and you can't focus on trying to just see if a person's lying, because there are cases where the person who is testifying thinks they're telling the truth. And I hope that this video helps people get on track. It's about exposing contradictions. And it's about pointing out to the court a person's actions matter more than their words. Actions always matter more than words. They tell a much more accurate tale than the stuff that somebody is spouting out of their mouth. And contradictions are a wonderful thing, because when it comes down to having to tell the court, make these findings of fact based on what this mentally unwell person has done, you don't want to worry about so much what they're going to say, because some of them sound so convincing. So I guess at this point, there's not much more I can do with this video. I really do hope that people focus on exposing contradictions and their opponent's actions, and less on trying to just get them to talk a whole lot and make them look like a liar. I mean, that does work sometimes, but especially for those of us who are in these high conflict child custody cases, because they almost universally involve a mentally unwell person. And these people with mental health issues, one of the things that they do often is they convince themselves that their lies are true. So for those of us who are in high conflict child custody cases, really take heed of this advice, because if your ex has a personality disorder or some other mental problem, they might be that type of person who just really does believe all the stuff they're saying. They're convinced of it. And of course, go ahead and watch part 8 of my docket series. You can see my hearing master right on the bench talk about how my ex's vivid tale is why she believed her. So even judges make rookie mistakes like this, and it can affect your life if you don't understand how to sort of present it to them. At the time, I didn't understand this, or I would have told her, you know what, Your Honor, she tells a vivid tale, but that's because she believes what she's saying. And just because she believes what she's saying doesn't mean it actually occurred. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end this video. If anyone has any questions or comments, post it down in the comments below. If you have experienced, if you've gone through an experience with an attorney or a judge who was duped because they believed something that your ex said or that your opponent said, because it sounded convincing, because your opponent actually did think they were telling the truth, even though there were a litany of contradictions in their actions and stuff. Go ahead and tell people about it in the comments below, so people can understand the importance of bringing it up to their judge. Please focus on these contradictions. Please don't, put so much weight into what she's saying because he's saying, because I honestly think they believe it, even though it's not true. And I don't know, sometimes with some of these brand new judges, these green judges, it's eye-opening. Sometimes they'll be like, oh my God, I didn't think of that. Okay, all right. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end this video, and I will see you guys next time.